SUPERHOT Mind Control Delete is the sequel to the original SUPERHOT game, and it has a more roguelike take on the same core gameplay. So let's get into it. If you've never played a SUPERHOT game, they're really fun and very unique. It's an FPS game where the goal is to eliminate the enemies as they spawn, but time stops, or at least moves super slowly, until you move or do an action. You can see bullets flying at you, enemies about to fire, etc., while you plan your next moves, shots, or whatever you want to do. You can loot weapons from enemies, throw random objects you find, or just smash enemies with your fists to kill them. It's a really fun core gameplay loop, and it feels different than a lot of other games out there. The same core gameplay is present in the first SUPERHOT game, but Mind Control Delete adds new bosses, new powers, and new modifiers. The way the game works is you complete various levels or runs, and within each run, you fight through a series of different randomized maps with randomized enemy spawns, and you collect power-ups or hacks during each run. They can be more straightforward buffs, such as letting you start with a weapon instead of empty-handed, or they can have more fun, unique effects as well, such as making objects explode when you throw them. Each map is cleared when you kill a certain number of enemies, and they just keep spawning until you kill enough of them to move on to the next map. As you play more, you unlock new hacks for future levels, and you also unlock more cores, which are basically a core ability you can select before starting each level. The 4 main cores give you either extra life, a katana you can throw and recall, the ability to charge punch enemies, and the ability to swap places with an enemy of your choosing, all of which allow for different playstyles and come with core-specific hacks or power-ups you can find on each run on each level. You can also unlock new enemy types, such as exploding enemies or ones with limited hitboxes. You also unlock 3 different mini-bosses you can find, such as one that throws a katana at you and chases you down. And you also unlock new environmental hazards or objects, such as traps you can find in levels that shoot out bullets when they're triggered. As I've mentioned, this mix of unlocking cores, hacks, and new enemies between levels, along with the randomized level design and power-ups, gives the game a much more roguelite feel. While the original game focuses on curated levels that are the same every single time you play them, the levels in Mind Control Delete are different every time. To clarify, the maps themselves are set in stone, but which one you get is randomized, what enemies spawn is randomized, and where they spawn and when they spawn is also randomized. While this randomization and variety led me to play this game more than the first game, it also has some drawbacks. First, the randomized enemy spawns could be really frustrating at times, especially because the enemies could spawn right behind you and immediately start shooting as they spawn, giving you almost no time to react or dodge the incoming bullets. Second, it really removed or at least reduced that puzzle-like quality of the first game, where it was fun to try new strategies, learn when and where enemies will spawn, to overcome specific challenges, the specific puzzle of that level. Because of this, I found the learning experience in SUPERHOT Mind Control Delete to be less fun than it was in the first game. When I lost, I often wasn't thinking of new strategies to try the next run, so much as wishing I hadn't barely missed my throw, or wishing an enemy hadn't spawned right behind me, those kind of things. And on that note, the game has a couple of difficulty spikes that could be frustrating at times, especially in light of these randomized levels and enemy spawns. Because I didn't like the learning experience of this game as much, it also made these difficulty spikes less fun, and caused me to take some breaks from the game at those points. Finally, let's briefly talk about the story in SUPERHOT Mind Control Delete, and mild spoilers here, so skip to the timestamp verdict section if you want to avoid them. Mind Control Delete continues the story of its predecessor, and if you've never played it, it's kind of an absurdist story. The game really gets in your face, it mocks you for playing the game, all in the name of critiquing video games, addiction to video games, or something like that, I'm not entirely sure. There are also some more lore-driven tidbits you can find along the way as you play. I do like some parts of the story, but it also takes a very deliberate, hands-on approach, where the game makes it hard for you to play deliberately. It's also just kind of full of itself a little bit, and at the end of the game, it makes you leave the game running for 2.5 hours before you can play the game again, which used to actually be 8 hours. You had to leave your game running for 8 hours if you wanted to play the game again, but they changed it to make it a little shorter. So yeah, the story can be off-putting at times, but it is also, I will give them credit, a unique way of storytelling for whatever that's worth. So what's my verdict on SUPERHOT Mind Control Delete? It has the same unique and fun gameplay loop as the original SUPERHOT, but now with more variety, randomization, and customization, all of which give it a more roguelite feel. But along with that, it loses some of that puzzle-like quality of the original, and the occasionally frustrating RNG made the learning experience of the game just less fun overall compared to the original. If you want more gameplay in the SUPERHOT style, or if you've never played a SUPERHOT game and you want that randomization, that roguelite feel, I'd recommend giving it a try, because that core gameplay is just very unique and very fun. But if you don't want to play randomized levels, I'd recommend sticking to the first game. This game was given away for free if you own the first SUPERHOT game by a certain point in time, and it's coming soon to Xbox Game Pass for PC as well. Please like this video to help me out in the YouTube algorithm, and thanks for watching.